What's going on, everyone? So the Detroit Pistons are expected to be buyers come the NBA trade deadline, and I actually think that they should, right? Like, they're surprisingly good this year, right? They're like a fringe playoff play-in team, but like, I think that they could make some noise. Like, outside of like the Cavs and the Celtics, like no one in the East is like really like a juggernaut. Like I think the Detroit Pistons could give like the Knicks, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they could actually give them fits, right? I still would probably take the Bucks and the Knicks to win this series, but I like, especially the Bucks. I have like zero faith and belief in the Bucks. Like, I actually wouldn't be shocked if they beat the Bucks. Knicks, I think, are good, but like they're beatable, right? So it's just kind of like, can Detroit do enough to get that done? But ultimately, what do they need in order to move into that kind of next tier, right? Like clumped in with like, where they're a clear-cut playoff team. Like they're going to finish anywhere from four or five. Maybe they could catch New York and be. To me, I think that they need that like all-star tier guy. Like obviously, there's no superstar or anything like that. Like a Devin Booker. Like if Devin Booker was available, I'd be like, go all in and go get Devin Booker, right? Like something like that. But if they could land, Zach LaVine, which, in all honesty, like in hindsight, and look, I want Zach LaVine badly on the Lakers, but like Detroit makes a lot of sense too for him, especially ever since they lost Jade Ivey. It has put all the pressure on Cade Cunningham, and you're either going to wear him down or get him hurt, right? And they really need a self-creating player. They really need a guy that can just go get a bucket. Zach LaVine, I do think, makes a lot of sense for them. However, another guy that has been heavily linked to the Detroit Pistons has been Brandon Ingram. And he's another guy I think makes a ton of sense. Obviously, you want to make sure he can stay healthy. There's some concerns. My biggest stay away from Brandon Ingram, I guess, for Detroit is that he wants like $50 million, right? And he's just not worth that. Not at this stage of his career. He's not worth $40 million at this stage of his career, like given like all the injury history and the new CBA. If this was any other year, teams would have already traded for him. Jimmy Butler would already be on the Phoenix Suns. Zach LaVine would probably already be on the Lakers or one of these other teams or Denver or something like that, because teams would just stack a bunch of like random contracts and just get it done. Like they would figure out a way. But now the new CBA, teams are very reluctant. It's changed the landscape of trades and signings and everything, right? And Brandon Ingram's going to be one of the first like major casualties of a guy that he would have gotten $40 million in any other season, and now he's probably going to be $25, $30 million. And it sucks for him, right? Because he's missing out on a bag. But he also can't stay healthy, right? Like the guy can't play more than 60 games, if that. Right? And you're lucky. That's like on a good year. Right? The most he's ever played in a season was 79, and that was his rookie season. Right? The next most since that was 64, and that was last year. Right? The guy's basically playing 50 to 60 games a season. And so it's tough. But if you're Detroit, to me, it boils down to like what does it cost, right? Like if you have to give up like a bunch, like 2 firsts and all that, then no, keep Brandon. But like if you could trade for him and not give up any of like your real core guys, like any of the guys you care about, and like not have to give up more than like a heavily protected first, I think it's worth the flyer, right? Because if it works, great. Then you re-sign him. Ideally to like $30 million. Maybe you have to overpay a little bit so he'll stick around. So let's say $35 million, right? Like, okay, fine. Now you got that. If it doesn't work, you could just let him walk and you clear like $30 million off your book, $35 million off your books. Right? Like, I just don't think that that's that bad, right? And I think you would take a ton of pressure off of Cade Cunningham, right? You get a guy that can self-create, create a little bit for others, rebound, defend, do a little bit of everything out there on the basketball court. I mean, even in the limited season that he's had thus far, he's only played in 18 games. He's averaging 33 minutes a game. This is Brandon Ingram, by the way. 33 minutes a game. He's averaging 18.5 field goal attempts, shooting 46.5% from the floor. He's shooting 37.4% from three-point range on 6.4 attempts. He is shooting 51.4% on 12 attempts from 2-point range. He has an EFG of 53%, shooting 85.5% from the foul line this season on 3.1 attempts. He's averaging 5.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists, a steal, we'll round up and be nice and say a block, and 22.2 points. So he's basically a 22, 5, and 5 guy that gets you a steal and a block a game, right? Like, it's good. Give you nearly 50% from the floor, and you're in good shape, right? Like, so to me, you get that guy that can pair well alongside Cade Cunningham. You can even bring, when Jade Ivey is healthy and back in, boom, you can even say you go Cade, Ivey with a Brandon Ingram, go Tobias Harris and, Jalen Duren, right? Boom, there you go. And you're in great shape. Like, to me, it's just, you got a couple fears. One is the contract and then the injury history. Can he stay healthy? And can you not pay him $50 million, right? Because outside of that, it's like, who else? Like, Jimmy Butler, I think, would be a lot of fun to see on Detroit. Like, I mean, Jimmy Butler's done more with less than probably any star in the league. And I think he'd be fun in Detroit, but probably still not winning a championship. And Jimmy's probably not going to want to stay there. Jimmy's probably out ASAP, right? Like, he's probably, as soon as the season's over, he's probably heading somewhere else. But, like, again, if it works, like, what if you get to the conference finals and you lose in, like, a tough 6 or something? You could, like, look to Jimmy and just be like, dude, look, we're just in the conference finals on just, like, a whim, just trading for you. Imagine what we look like next season, and we can go make moves. We have picks, we have players, we have everything we need to, like, go get another guy or two, right? Like, and really just make this a championship team and try to get you a championship before you go right off into the sunset, right? Like, you might be able to convince it. The problem is if you lose in, like, the first round, he's probably like, yeah, I'm out of here, right? Like, but again, like, depending on what you have to give up, if you give up, like, if you end up having to sell the farm, then yeah, no. But if you could, again, keep kind of your core guys, your, like, main core guys that you care about, and heavily protected first or something like that to go get them, like, why not? Like, why not take a risk? Why not take a gamble? Right? Because, like, the thing is that the East is, if they were in the West, I'd probably feel very different. Because it's like, even with Jimmy Butler, you're probably not going anywhere. You're probably still playing team, right? But the Eastern Conference, again, there's, like, really 2 teams that you really need to worry about. I think with, like, Jimmy Butler or a Brandon Ingram, I think they're right in the thick of it with these other teams. I think they're right in the mix with these other kind of, mid-tier teams, like the Knicks and the Bucks and stuff. I think that they could potentially make some noise and, potentially, like I said, be in the conference finals or something. You get the right matchup or two. All of a sudden, a couple luck of the dice rolls your way, and then you look up and you're like, wow, okay, we're in the conference finals. Like, I don't think that would be that crazy, that far-fetched, if they were able to make a move. If they were able to get that, like, Ingram or, a Levine or a Jimmy or something like that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel with your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? Do you like the idea of Brandon Ingram heading to the Detroit Pistons? Do you think that Detroit should go get Brandon Ingram, or do you think, nah, stay as far away from Brandon Ingram as possible? Too much injury history, too many issues in that regard. He wants $50 million, which, again, I just think is way too much. Way too much. If he's like, hey, I'll take $30 million, then go trade for him right this second, right? Like, because, again, like, who else are you getting? Who else are you going to end up landing? Right? Detroit isn't this, like, huge free agency destination, so you're probably having to trade for guys anyway, or drafting guys, and I think you got a nice little core. If you can get that impact guy or two, I think you're there. But again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.